Okay, so let's talk about content strategy. So as I said, content is king, and this is a really important part of the approach that you're going to have on SEO. So by this stage of the course, you should have already identified some of the keywords that you're going to target, and now the strategy is going to be based on how you put together genuinely useful content that Google's going to want to rank, that's going to help users and your website traffic. You're going to add content to all different parts of your website. Obviously the home page, blog pages, service pages, location pages, but I'm going to actually only recommend you try to fully SEO some of them. So it's not like every single page of the website's got to be fully SEO'd. It's really just certain pages we're going to focus on that are going to be the answers to the questions for Google. One of the things we're going to talk about is the idea of cornerstone or pillar pages, and these are going to be these really important pages that you're going to target against some primary keywords, and then you're going to use linking strategies and other techniques to tell Google that these pages are really important. And all of this is going to add up to building your EAT, your expertise, authority and trust that we talked about earlier on. Okay, so look, writing good quality content for Google is easier said than done, and there's definitely some tools that can give you a head start. Some of the things that I use after I've used things like SE ranking and some paid tools are things like answerthepublic.com, and that's definitely my favourite tool for researching what people are looking for on the internet and giving me ideas about what I might put as page titles or content in the website. As well as those sort of paid tools, you can actually just use Google. I mean, if you go through, type in your search term, and then add things on, so add a how-to or a best of or whatever, you'll start seeing Google also suggesting different things that people are using for. That's a really great technique to get some ideas about what might be there. As I say, the focus is focusing on genuinely useful content. I'm going to talk about this idea of content clusters, because you can write one page of content and that's great, and that can be the answer to the question, but Google's really wanting to know that you're an authority, and that's sometimes very hard to do just on one single page. So when you're writing content, what you want to be doing is clusters of content. So if there is a search phrase that you're targeting, you want to write an article or a blog or have other pages that are about related content. So you'll basically build up one page for 4 or 5 pages, ultimately many more pages if you want to and need to for your SEO. And then Google's going to look at that, look at those different pages and see you as an expert in your field. So if you wanted to be, and use the example earlier on about Lake District wedding photographers, if you wanted to be the expert authority that Google would see for that, and therefore ranked for all the terms on Lake District wedding photography, you would write all those guides. What's the best, what are the best venues, how to organise your wedding, how to do an outdoor wedding, where are the best places to stay, what are the best wedding supplies locally, that sort of thing. All these things build up your authority on our clusters. So in terms of action steps, I'm just going to ask you to consider what type of content is going to suit your niche. Again, looking at what's ranking for competitors. Use the tools that I've mentioned. Definitely go on answerthepublic.com. That's a fantastic resource. Use Google, and then start making a list of potential topics and titles that you could create a Cornerstone page on. So if you're writing about a particular topic and you're targeting your niche, what are the questions people are asking within that? And so I used the example of the Lake District wedding photographer as one suggestion there. And we'll move on to the next lesson on page structure.